Hello, everybody. We're coming to you live from Santa Clara, California at Milestone for the 2019 Digital Marketing Trends webinar. This is an annual tradition we do every year, so we're really excited to be coming to you. Let me get started here with some housekeeping items. Everybody is muted to avoid any audio disturbances during our presentation. But if you find that you have any questions about the content of the presentation, feel free to ask them at any point using the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. Again, there's no need for you to wait until the end of the webinar. You can just type out your questions as they come up. That way you won't forget, and we can address them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Sometimes we end up short on time during the Q&A, so if that happens, we'll be happy to answer any remaining questions on our blog. And we'll be providing links to any other resources that you guys ask for there. Also, really important to note, this webinar, as always, is being recorded. The video is going to be posted on our blog, so you can share that with anybody that you think might benefit from seeing it, any of your colleagues, anybody who may have missed out. And if you want to watch it again later, you can pick it up there on our blog. So look out for that. We're going to email you information about this email probably later this week. Make sure it doesn't end up in your clutter folder. If you miss it, then hit us on blog.milestoneinternet.com. That's where we keep all of our webinar-related content. Without any further delay, let's move on and introduce who's on the webinar. As always, I'm Jake Brennan. I'm coming to you from Milestone's Santa Clara office. I'm here to make introductions, moderate your questions, and let the experts do what they do best and talk about the presentation. Today, joining me in person is Banu Agarwal, our founder and president. Banu's an expert in digital marketing solutions, SEO, and local search, and she oversees our product development, client services, technology, and strategic vision for Milestone. We have Banu's leadership to thank for many of the award-winning websites and software products that we put out there. How's it going, Banu?
Awesome.
Also here is Walter Poliska, our VP of Marketing. He has 25+ years of experience in sales and marketing, and Walter oversees everything we do in our marketing organization and is responsible for product marketing and demand generation at Milestone. How are you today, Walter?
Great, glad to be here.
Thanks for being with us. So before we get into it, I'd just like to give a quick spiel about Milestone, what it is that we do, and for anybody who might be new to our webinars, familiarize you with our company. Milestone is a leading provider of digital marketing services and software for hospitality, retail, finance, and more. We provide a full range of solutions, including web and mobile design, content creation, SEO, analytics, and competitive intelligence. And our best-in-class technology and solutions drive revenue and ROI for our clients around the world. We've done business with over 2,000 companies, including leading hotel chains, major retailers, and financial services companies. And Milestone has garnered over 400 awards, as well as a reputation for blending outstanding design and advanced technological capabilities. So with that being said, I think we're ready to get into the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Walter. Why don't you take it away?
Great, thank you so much, Jake. And first of all, thank you everybody for joining us in this first of our series of webinars for the year 2019. I'm going to start out and literally take just a couple of minutes to go over a couple of slides to talk about the trends that impacted us in 2018, kind of give us a summary of where we're at. And then we'll hand it off to Banu, who's going to take us into the meat of the webinar, if you will, to talk us through our vision for 2019. And then finally, I'll wrap it up and with some key takeaways. So let's jump in. Probably the first thing that is important to say and that's most relevant about what happened in 2018 is that everybody in the industry pretty much came to the consensus that consumer behaviors are changing in very dramatic ways. First and foremost, and probably most importantly to digital marketers, consumers have switched to asking questions instead of searching for keyword terms. So the old age of the user on their search engine typing in very specific keyword-related searches are over. People are asking questions of the search engines and they're expecting answers. A lot of this is being driven also by another key trend in consumer behavior, which is the adoption of screenless devices. Obviously, as consumers begin to purchase more devices like Alexa speakerphones and Google Home devices, if you don't have a screen to look at results, then obviously you're going to rely 100% on answers. Also, the proliferation of mobile devices is really driving a huge adoption by consumers to devices that are very difficult for people to work with if they're just using keywords and traditional searches. So voice becomes a better experience. And actually, it's not a slide that's on the deck, but one of the statistics that's most impactful about 2018 is that at the end of 2018, consumers were actually spending as much time on their smartphone as they are on their TV sets. And then finally, shorter attention spans. Everybody's a lot busier, everybody has a lot more going on, and consumers want information quickly, they want it right now, and they want to get their questions answered as quickly as possible. Now, the second trend that we saw in 2018 that's related to everything that we just talked about is that with the adoption of mobile devices, screenless devices, the number of searches that are happening on non-PC devices is growing. With Google reporting in 2018 that fully 60% of searches are now on mobile. Related to this statistic, fully 50% of search is expected to be voice-powered by next year, 2020. That's only a year away. Now, another statistic that came out late in 2018 by Gartner that was equally significant for digital marketers is that they expect in the same time frame, also by the year 2020, that fully 1/3 of all browsing will be done on screenless devices. That's a huge takeaway for digital marketers as we face a future where a consumer is going to be seeking answers without necessarily being able to see the content that's being shared with them. So with that kind of sets the stage for 2019. Let me hand it over to Benu, who's going to walk us through our trends. Benu?
Thank you so much, Walter. And before I get started, unbelievable. There's just so many people on the webinar. Thank you to all Milestone employees, all the customers. I see all the faces, and I can see it, I can feel you guys. But of course, thank you so much, and wishing every single one of you a very happy new year. So let's get started. This is, again, thank you, Walter and Jake, for helping me put this together. New way of thinking. New way of thinking is not based on channels. It's really our old thinking of solving problems and aligning solving problems with our consumer behavior, which Walter just talked about. So let's step back. If we really nail it down with business goals, outcomes, strategies, and how these strategies align with all the tactics, that's when you come up with best solution, right? What are my business problems? What am I trying to solve? We've been doing digital marketing for years and years and years, and there is always a shining star. But it's not about shining star, it's about taking every single shining star and aligning that with my business problem and a goal I'm trying to accomplish. And that's what I'm going to try to show today in today's presentation. Of course, all the questions are welcome, but let's nail it down. Your team is probably discussing, sharing this with you, how in Milestone we take all the goals, strategies, and align it across every single bucket. This is called a RACI format. Your CSMs are probably discussing that with you. So let's take a very, very specific goal. Our goal is to increase revenue by 10%, not through current customer, by acquiring new customers. That means I have to grow my brand awareness. Now, what should I be doing for my reach strategies? What should I be doing to convert, to act, and then, of course, keeping those customers constantly. Milestone is being blessed. I see here they've been customer. Some of you been with us for 20 years, and again, thank you so much for being such a loyal customer. What do we have to do over and over again to convert those customers? So let's really specifically focus on awareness as my goal. If my goal is to increase awareness, to capture more share, then my strategies needs to be very focused, reach strategies. And then I have to really look at my customer across every single bucket and really think about what problem these customers have, how I'm going to solve those problems. And that will help me improve my brand awareness. And KPI I will use to measure success is going to be different for KPI I will use to measure conversion. And KPI here is going to be unique visitors, impression, fans. Now, again, I won't go into detail of every single bucket, but we will see how this specific goal can be aligned with your consumer, your channel, your omni-channel plan, and every single thing what we need to do to make sure we accomplish that goal. It's all about focus and precision. So let's lay it out. Goal is to acquire 10%. How do you do that? Step one is new customer. So let's start with who is my customer. If we need to know exactly who is my customer, what problem they have, what are their behaviors, how do I make sure that I provide them solution for their problems, and how do I make sure that I remarket it to them to ensure those customers are converting. Now, when these customers are engaging with my platform and they're connecting with me, they need to have super fast experience. Like Walter talked about, that attention span is so little, right? Most of us don't have time. Only one thing we don't have is time. And since it's important that every single interaction aligned with keeps my customer engaged and it's lightning fast. And then consistent information. What you don't want is your information being different across every single channel, from your website to your social channel, to your paid strategy, to your voice interaction. Fundamental is ensuring that it's one set of information, consistent information which powers every channel. And then how do you partner with relevant, most authoritative partners? Because if those partners are not sharing the same information, then that creates a lot of inconsistency, which impacts overall goal for your business. And then amplification through social is the key, and it's boosting your social presence, and then of course rinsing and repeating every single thing over and over again to accomplish the goal which we had set out to accomplish. So now let's go into every single bucket and see how to make this happen. Start with your target audience and your business problem. Very simple. Whiteboard session is, this is my customer, here is a business problem. Here are the devices they're using, and here are every single channel which we can target. Of course, there could be another 100 channels which you can have, your print channels, your TV channels, which we have not talked about. And it's a great idea to pull all your partners in one room and get them to think about your audience and a goal you need to accomplish, and align every single thing together, your offline, your online, everything together towards your business problem. Now, when we think about these business problems, we also have to think about these problems are going to be solved by completely focusing on customer experience. And that experience can easily be broken down into search experience. Why search experience? Because your customers cannot find you until their experience, they can find you on when they do the searches. And there is a 900-pound gorilla, which is between you and your customers, whether that's Google, Amazon. Again, Amazon is taking big time, Facebook, screen-less devices. There is so much more to be said about your search experience. And let's say if they did find you, what is your user experience? Is it fast? Is it engaging? Is it top of the funnel? Are you really making sure your digital assets are aligned with your user experience? And then, last but not least, is once they get to your site, how are you making it personal? How are you building that trust? How are you converting transactional relationship into transformational relationship where you are really build that trust and that trust with customer by ensuring that experience they have is very personalized to their needs. So now getting into the poll question.
All right.
For everyone.
Yep, we prepared a poll question for you guys, and you should be able to see it on your screen now. And the question is, which of the following statements are true about your marketing mix? So go ahead and vote. Okay, the votes are coming in. We'll give you guys a few seconds. And I'll just watch to see when the votes stop coming in. Okay, let's give it about 10 more seconds. All right, and I'm going to end the poll now. Let's check out these results. Okay, so definitely a lot of CMS users out there, but a pretty even spread across the other categories. Very interesting.
Awesome. So this is really helpful. Phenomenal. So now let's get to our rest of our presentation. So let's start with how do you create that beautiful user experience? And we will talk about search experience, but let's first talk about user experience. User experience is created when you're aligning everything you are doing based on your customer and their interest and their intent. So here is what we have put together. You do have a lot of tactics, right? You do have your beautiful site, and you have your technical SEO and paid search and every single thing what you need to do. But how do you scale it? How do you make sure that strategies you have for your website or your content or your technical or your paid is integrated with platform? And that's the key. That is the nirvana, that you have to have platform to scale every single tactics you're trying to do. So from foundation to strategic level, foundational level, you have to, and I'm so glad to see a lot of people are using CMS to edit your content, but also important is to have consistent information, a content hub where you are keeping all your information, all your digital assets, all your content, and ensuring this content hub is providing information to every single channel, because it's not about channel, it's about business and business outcome and your customer touches every single channel. Then if you have taken care of the foundational, where you have one platform to power everything, then you move to next step, which is proactive, where you're really aligning your social and your reviews and your reporting and everything you're doing with tactics and strategies such as keyword optimization, your responsive side, your paid strategies, your omni-channel strategies. And then going from proactive to progressive, you have to play in entity search. And we are going to talk about entity search a little bit later during search experience. You have to make sure your digital strategies align with your competition. You're looking at your competition, and not only in digital space, every single area. What are your competition doing every single minute to constantly evolve your content, your strategies? And then the tactics there is your mobile first design, your CDNs, retargeting. And then at the top of the funnel is your predictive, your FAQ, your long tail strategy, things which are published in voice searches. And the tactics there is, that's again a platform which enables you to accomplish tactics such as voice action, AMP, or PWA strategy, or customer audience type, or similar audience type strategies across every single channel. So now let's go. This is milestone, maturity model, and you can't deploy strategies until you have consistent platform aligned with every single strategy and a tactic. So so what we are going to do is we are going to talk about the tactic, and then we are also going to talk about how do you scale it? How do you make sure that you don't repeat the same thing 5 times across every channel? So content strategy. Our goal is to get 10% conversion by acquiring this what do I have to do? I need to know who's my customer, what are they searching across every single micro moment. I want to go moment, I want to know moment. Let's put all these searches in a central hub, which is your content hub. Your content hub needs to capture all your navigational, transactional, informational queries, every single content you want to create about your business, and then you power that content from your content hub onto the blog, onto the social media, onto the page, onto the voice, onto your website, local pages. Let's not create different content for every single channel. It starts with your content hub. And then content alone doesn't work. You have to marry content with digital assets. And it's the hardest thing to do because content, when you're thinking about content, you're thinking about customer. And when you're thinking about digital asset, you're thinking about making sure that it's engaging, but you have to marry content with your digital assets. And if you see here, what we have done is 80% of searches have become informational searches. So if we are really going to power a solution for customer problem, we need to make sure our digital assets married with our content strategy, where we have all these long tail questions nicely integrated on the website on different channels. And we'll talk about different channels. Now, assuming you have taken care of a tactic, then let's make sure your platform is so robust. Remember, speed, right? It has to be indexable, crawlable. You have to have mobile first strategy to ensure that your customer can find you on a device they are looking for you, and they have great experience, lightning fast experience. And so AMP, I'm sure a lot of people know. If you're a milestone customer, you absolutely know AMP. If you're not milestone customer, well, you should become one. And it is top of the funnel strategy because it's lightning fast. And then ensuring that your AMP is integrated with your PWA strategy because it's engaging with your customers. So again, not going too much into every single tactic. Here is a simple recipe to ensure that your platform is robust and has that phenomenal, nirvana for everybody to scale. Now, again, a tactic. How do you ensure that your mobile site seems like an app? Here is an example of your mobile first site, which is aligned with your user and what are they looking for. And an AMP site, which is lightning fast, which talks about what customers are looking. These are AMP stories, and it just captures beautifully what customers are looking right on top of the funnel. And once you have your customer targeted, when you have them, then ensuring that you're constantly engaging with them through push notifications. So again, not going deep into it, here's some example of securing, connecting with new customer, and making sure you are engaging with those customers through different strategies and tactics, which has to be integrated at the platform level. Okay, so now let's start living customer, what is customer thinking? What we talked about is all about user experience. What I'm thinking first thing in the morning, well, I don't have breakfast 9 in the morning. I will probably have it 8, but I'm thinking about breakfast, and I'm thinking about a boardroom, and then what do I have to do when I am, this is again targeted to business traveler, what's there to do in San Francisco? Or how do I really enjoy city? What is the best music, right? It's very engaging, it's very personalized based on my target audience. My digital assets are aligned with content strategies, aligned with schema, which we are going to talk about, or aligned with entity search, which we are going to talk about. And taking it one step further, ensuring that every single social channel, your website content, from your social launch to stories to your engaging experience for your target audience are exceptionally personalized. It's created based on those micro moments, and it's critical to ensure that it's engaging and it's aligned with those micro moments. Now, once we have these top of the funnel strategies, let's put a little bit more excitement, engagement, convert these lookers into bookers by creating sense of urgency. That's bottom of the funnel conversion for keeping the same goal, acquiring 10% new customers. But this is how you can convert lookers into bookers by doing similar audience strategies on paid and on your website, maybe running last minute specials and promotion sweepstakes and things like that. Now, we are done with user experience. Again, there is so much more I can cover on user experience because, again, user comes first, and then we go into the technology, which is search experience, where we align every single channel, every single channel works really, really hard to ensure that your user has cohesive, integrated experience across. Now, before I go into search experience, it's important to understand evolution of search. I've personally been part of this whole evolution for the last 15 years. And when I was like a year old, search started as a keyword search. And it was focused on what's on your website. And then there is a whole evolution where search today is based on intent. It is based on conversation. So think about what Walter said. 50% or more searches have become long tail. They're on mobile. And out of those 50%, 30% of them are voice search, right? So it's really adapting to our customer needs and their problems. And it is more about the intent. It's more about the conversation today than it used to be years ago. So what do we have to do in order to play an entity search? The most important thing, and I know if you're a Milestone customer, you already know inside out about schemas, but if you're not, key thing is that to ensure you can play in entity search. Ensure every single attribute of your website is tagged with schema so search engine can easily understand what are you trying to communicate. Schemas are just piece of code which search engines provide you, and as a developer, you want to ensure that when you are putting most important information about your business, which creates the relevancy of your business, it's tagged with schema. And that schema information or that information is supplied to search engine for better indexing, for better crawlability, and for all the intent-based, all the conversational-based searches. Now, assuming that you have done that, you have a central hub, you align everything, then it gets into how do you take this information and ensure that you power most important authoritative partners, right? You have to be part of GMB, you have to be part of Yelp. Again, some of these partners are very specific to location-based businesses, but your social channels, your Yellow Pages, directories, maps, and so on. And this information needs to be constantly changing. Enhanced. If you're going to be closed for Thanksgiving, let's make sure that information is pushed in a timely manner, right? It's so annoying that you go to a restaurant and your Yelp listing says restaurant is open, but it's really not open. It's unfortunately, restaurant did not think about updating their hours, right? Because this information is also powering all your apps and listings, and then it powers every single device. So again, the moral of a story is that have one central hub which powers every single data point. Now, once every single data point is powered, then ensure that this central hub is also powering every single channel to maintain consistency. And the outcome of that is you have now beautiful local profile, you have a beautiful social and review profile, you have a great competitive intelligence dashboard, and then putting it all together, there is a beautiful report across every single channel, which aligns with my business outcome. Jake, how are you doing? Timing-wise, is it okay?
You're doing great, Panu. You got plenty of time.
Perfect. Thank you, Jake. Okay, so, and what is the outcome of this strategy? Outcome of the strategy is Now you have push of a button, you can have great offers, you have consistent information across every channel, from your local channel to paid channel to your website to your social to your blog. Everywhere you have consistent information, and it can be controlled. It can be, you don't have to go through a lot of hoops to ensure that consistent, your consumer has consistent information across. Now going back to my goal, again, honing on to my goal. I've done that, aligning all my channels. How do I align my paid strategies to accomplish the same goal? Let's start with who's my customer. If my goal is to gain new customers, then I need to really focus on non-branded. I need to focus on different channels, whether it's Bing or Google or Adara, so your different partners, but understand through display who is coming to my site, and then layer this down. Ensure that you have non-branded strategy, top of the funnel, which aligns with who's my customer, what are they doing, what problem we are trying to solve, and then breaking it down further, or making it a little bit more focused on the branded strategy or your meta strategy for conversion. So when you look at paid, right? This is something we've been looking, that literally there is really no linear path to purchase. We have to think holistically. Paid is playing a huge role in conversion between paid and organic and email marketing and direct. Everything works together to ensure that you accomplish that business outcome, you accomplish the goal. So it's not, if you have your paid strategy not working closely with your content strategy or with your social strategy, then it defeats the purpose. In fact, ideally, I know holistic, historically everybody used to have paid department, organic department, different departments. And within Milestone, we started calling every single department as a center of excellence, because every department is working together to accomplish those business outcomes, to accomplish those goals, because there is really no linear path to purchase. Okay, and then once you have your paid strategy and everything in sync, how do you amplify using social, right? Yeah, on social, content used to work, but today, if you're not amplifying it through boosted posts, conversions are not that holistic. But you can't think about social strategies in isolation. Your content strategy needs to lead into your social strategies, your paid strategies, your website strategies, and everything else. So here is, and again, what you're going to measure for social is going to be very different from what you measure for paid. Here you are measuring your engagement, your reach, and your conversation. So now, putting it all together, what are the elements for search experience? Ensure you are found. Ensure across every device. Desktop is not the only one. Screenless devices are growing phenomenally. That means we have to start tracking conversation. Are we really having actual meaningful conversation with our customer? Are we found if literally desktop search is lower than mobile and voice search is as high as mobile, then we have to be thinking about every single device and how are we tracking? How are we making sure there is consistent information so customer doesn't get another set of information on mobile, another set of information on a web? And then ensuring when customers land up to your site, they have really, really pleasant experience, speed, UX. We are personalizing information based on what they're looking for. And when we are thinking about paid, we are integrating every channel because it's not linear path. We are ensuring that your paid strategy, content strategy, analytics strategy, they're all working together. And amplifying it through social yields to great conversion. My last not least is your consumer experience. So assuming we have done all of this right, that leads into great consumer experience, right? So when consumer finally gets to you, they want personal information. And this is something we are working on, where you have personalized engine personalized engine, which is, again, ensuring that when customer gets to your site, their information is targeted based on what they're looking for, based on their purchase history, based on their behavior history, based on their CRM data. And the advertising we are doing is segmented based on the audience and what they're looking. And then we are also taking a lot of emails from the CRM and using that for similar customer match type to ensure that those match types are further converted based on customer preferences. Again, more example, more information to come on personalized agent, but that's truly a holy grail. That you are converting transactional relationship with your customer into a trusted relationship by personalizing it. And here is another thing which, again, we've been doing for a lot of our clients, where we are pulling reviews from every single channel on your site. Your customer will go to TripAdvisor, they will go to Google, they will go to different channels, but let's you be a content hub. Let's pull every single review on your site and enable customer to leave review if they can on your site. And if they are leaving reviews on your site, let's make sure you wrap it with schema and make sure those are available in entity search. Now going into a little bit into the voice search, and we will talk more about it, is how do you engage with your customer? Here's an experiment we did with some of our customers where we had a lot of interaction with customers through chatbot. And a little bit more to come in voice search. These interactions are personalized. These conversations personalized based on what customers were looking and what they're searching for. Walter, am I good with timing?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So before we go into voice search, let's think. If your customer is asking solutions for their problem, and we are answering those questions, let's centralize it. Let's make sure we publish these questions. We should answer these questions, but we should publish these questions on the site. So we are creating amazing FAQs on your site on different channels. And here is something Milestone has launched where you have ability to create your FAQs and also push it across every single channel, every single channel, every single digital asset. So how does holistically it work? Let's figure out what our customer is asking, what problem they are solving. Let's create our content hub. Let's make sure we use these FAQs to enable chatbot. Now, chatbot is not going to answer every single question with perfection. Whatever chatbot cannot answer, let's add a live agent. Now, live agent, when live agent answers that question, we can take the answer and train our chatbot through NLP and publish these questions on our website. And that's where we have done a personalization of a chatbot to answer customer questions. And that actually leads into the voice search. It's not that, voice search is a new channel and 30–40% of customers today are using different devices. I'm sure most of you guys are using new devices, but it's truly going back to the basics. How do we make sure we are solving customer problems? Voice is just a new channel to solve the same problem. Okay, going into the voice search, are you very fundamental question. Are you be the voice for your business? Do you own the brand voice? Because voice index is a brand new index. It's not the same mobile index or a web index. And what does that mean? When somebody goes to Google Assistant and they are talking about your brand, is that you who is showing up or somebody else? And we will talk about that a little bit more. There are 4 steps for voice search. Again, I will not go deep into it. If you want to check it out, you can look at SMX decks. It's on my slide share, but step by step, we need to do or what we need to do to optimize for voice. It starts with content, then robust technology, then you're optimizing for voice, and then you're tracking and analyzing if it's really working. So all these strategies are basically working together to ensure that you are available when it comes to the voice search. So here's an example. Again, I love every single customer of Milestone. I'm sure Craig is on webinar, but right here, check this out. This is the experiment we ran for one of our clients, and just for a very highly competitive keyword such as Boston, he's the only lodging choice. Just think about it. Entire Boston, there's only one lodging choice. And and this is another experiment, and I'm sure Melissa is on this webinar. What we did is use a lot of long tail queries to convert, to create a separate voice campaign. And these voice campaigns actually, when searchers search for it, land up onto the website, which had these question answers systematically. Now let's look at the impact of it. Conversion out of voice search were higher than the conversion out of your branded search. And that's completely unheard of, because branded search tend to convert higher. But really, your conversion here was much more high. Conversion rate was much more higher when it comes to voice search, because we personalize experience for the customer. And how does it work in reality? You can go try it out. You go to Google Assistant, try this question, and you'll see that how voice search is pulling all these FAQs from your mobile site. And of course, you needed to have robust platform. You need to ensure you're amplifying it. But end of the day, back to basic, are we solving customers' problem? If you look at all these questions, is your hotel pet friendly? Or do you have laundry service? These are all the questions which typically customer will ask when they get to your front desk. Let's give them these questions on the site, ensure it's available on the schemas, ensure they're part of your voice search, and make it available through Google Assistant, through voice devices, through Google Home or Alexa. And this is an experiment we ran actually last year, and I was just amazed to see response we were getting, almost 18 interactions every single day from new visitors. Phenomenal strategy. That's why voice is not your brand new strategy. It is a top of the funnel strategy, which requires every single bucket to be lined up effectively. Walter, back to you.
Thank you so much, Benu. Well, thank you for those great insights, Benu. Before we wrap it up today with a couple of key takeaways, let's talk a little bit about measuring and about managing these strategies that you're going to deploy. So for starters, one of the questions that's probably coming up, one of the central themes of this webinar was, how do I manage all this centralized content that I have? I'm going to centralize my content. I want to make sure I share it across the entire spectrum of my channels. How do I manage that? Do I do it on spreadsheets? Do I do it with shared documents? Well, those are some options. The good news is, if you're a Milestone client, a little bit of shameless advertising here. If you're a Milestone client, your CSMs are probably talking to you about these strategies as we speak. And later this year, you're going to be seeing an enhancement to our Presence Cloud platform that will actually allow you to go in and see what are all of the campaigns that are being run, what are all of the strategies that are associated with it, the tactics that are being implemented, so you can actually track this in real time as it's happening. And from a measurement perspective, from an analytics perspective, and this is probably universally true, but it's especially true for digital marketing, it's important and critical that you measure the right things based on what it is that you're trying to achieve. So if you're talking about voice search, you're trying to measure conversations. If you're talking about videos, you want to measure views. If you're talking about social amplification, you want to measure engagement, and so on and so forth. There could be hundreds of possible metrics that we have here, but the critical message here is to measure what matters at each step of the way. All right, so with that, let's wrap it up with a few key takeaways for today. Starting with number one, we started with putting your consumer at the center. Now, Some could argue this is always the mantra of marketing, but it's I think over the last 5 years especially, we have become so enamored in digital marketing, especially with technology and all of the new technologies that are available to digital marketers, that it's sometimes easy to forget that where it really starts, begins, and ends is with your customer. So put your consumer at the center of the entire process. 2, the RACE framework. Turn your goals into action. Put a framework in place that allows you to map out, these are my strategies, this is what I'm trying to achieve with these strategies, these are then the tactics and the strategies I'm going to put into place in order to accomplish all of this. 3rd, focus on user experience, conversational content, and scale all of it with a strong platform. And especially that second part is absolutely critical. Having a strong platform that allows you to scale your content strategy and user experience strategy, regardless of where you're deploying it, is going to be absolutely critical. It's going to be very difficult to do all of these things if you're dealing with 20, 30, 40 different tool sets, all of which have different user interfaces, user experiences, and that are difficult to learn. 4th, have a consistent search experience across channel. Whether you're talking about whatever the channel that you're talking about, make sure that that search experience is consistent and uniform. And then finally, embrace new channels like voice search and chatbots. And Banu really hit on a point that I think is absolutely critical and that we want to definitely stress and leave you with. Voice is a brand new category. It's a brand new area for marketers to sort of start exploring. You have to own your brand voice. You have to own the questions that consumers are going to ask. If you're a bank and customers are asking about, what does this specific bank, does it own have a zero balance transfer offer? Who do you want to answer that question? Do you want Wikipedia answering that question? Do you want just some random search answering that question? Or do you want to be the one that answers that question? And the same is true for any business. So own your answers. So finally, before we turn it over for question and answer, a couple of things about upcoming events from Milestone. Watch your inboxes. We're going to be doing additional webinars this year, primarily focusing on other different areas, but in the near future, focusing primarily on local search, paid marketing, social media. Also look in your inboxes in the near future for a webinar on Yelp and our partnership with Yelp. Upcoming shows, if you're a Milestone customer, you're going to see us at a lot of events this year. In the next month especially, we're going to be very busy. Our team is going to be traveling around the world a little bit. We're going to be at the LSA convention on February 25th and 27th in Southern California. We also have someone that's going to be from Milestone at the International Franchiser Association convention at the end of this month. Of course, as a preferred partner, we're going to be at the Preferred Convention later this month. And finally, the Digital Marketing for Financial Services Summit in San Francisco, also at the tail end of this month. So a lot of busy time for shows. If you're going to one of these shows, stop by and visit us and see what we're up to. And then lastly, as the person that is chiefly responsible for driving demand for this event, I want to make sure that everybody's aware that July 31st, August 1st will be our Engage 2019 conference. Very excited about having this happening for the 4th year in a row. And we will start selling tickets starting March 1st. So come to our website. We're about to launch a redesigned website. So come and see it, take a look at it, and you'll see availability for Engage tickets as of March 1st. So with that, let's turn it over to any questions you may have. Jake?
All right, thanks, Walter. Now on to the Q&A session. If anybody has any questions, now's the time. Type them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer them for you. And again, this webinar is being recorded. I'll just remind you all. So a video will be made available to you if you want to go back and look through it and figure anything out that you may have missed. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the first question here. Can you guys tell us specifically what people can do to improve their website user experience? Maybe list a few things.
I would say, thanks, Jake. I'll take this question. I think in order of priority, absolutely phenomenal speed. Ensure that you have consistent experience across all devices, just not desktop, because again, desktop is going down, so desktop, mobile, voice. And third would be ensuring that you are making that experience very engaging based on your customer, based on your audience.
Okay, thanks, Manu. Next question here. Could you tell us more about the Content Hub?
The Content Hub is really nothing new, but it is ability for us to ensure that every single piece of content we are going to create, we first make sure it's centralized and it's scaled to power every single channel. So the idea here is we are creating content for every single channel, your on-page, your off-page, your print media, every single thing. Let's create a content based on your consumer and based on business goals. Establish that content in a content hub, almost like a database, and then power every single channel out of this database or out of this platform.
Gotcha. Thanks, Banu. Another attendee asks, we had noted on one of our slides in the deck, or sorry, we had Uber and Lyft noted on a slide in our deck. What drives content on Uber and Lyft, and how can we optimize our placement on those platforms?
Okay, so actually, thank you so much for paying such close attention. Thank you. So what drives information on Uber and Lyft is all your local channels, which I have put in that slide deck. Your GMB information, your website, your schemas, your locally, a lot of these different channels which powers your Uber and Lyft, and ensuring that you have right information on most authoritative channel is the key.
Okay, interesting. Another attendee asks, how will voice search affect marketing durable goods like outdoor power equipment sold online?
Well, think about it, how many dads, I'm assuming most of the dads are doing outdoor goods, right? I hardly, except gardening, I hardly have time to do anything outdoor. So how many dads are using voice assistant, right? 90% or probably more. If
Sure.
they are using voice devices such as Google Home or Google Assistant, then you have to kind of play there. And the way to do it is create a lot of FAQs, a lot of amazing content, your how to, Home Depot type of videos, how to fix this, and ensure that phenomenal information is nicely layered on your platform and is enabled in voice search.
Makes sense. Okay, we don't have any other questions coming in right now. I can give a few seconds, and if anybody else has a question, go ahead and type it in. Otherwise, we will sign off.
And Jake, this presentation and article will be available on our blog. What is the timeline?
That's right. You can look for this on our blog probably tomorrow, blog.milestoneinternet.com. We'll also be sending out an email to everybody who registered for this webinar. So we'll have all of the information included in that, so you can look for that. And it looks like we don't have any other questions coming in at this time. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Banu. Thank you, Walter.
Thank you, Jake.
Hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.